You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Parks podcast, and this is show 474 for the 8th of October 2023.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Hello there, Janie.
Hello there, Michelle, and how are we this fine week?
Croaky.
You do sound a little bit. You've been talking too much again, darling.
Oh, it's all this malarkey that's going on the surgery I'm waiting. And yes, it's not great. Esophagitis, gastritis, hiatus hernia, pukey.
No.
And I'm getting a very sore throat. No, very sore throat. I'm feeling very, very...
Shelley not well.
And that's why last week, guys, we just didn't get to record. Joseph was in hospital. He had some surgery done. I was busy being grandma, worrying, and this, that, and the other. And then my voice was particularly bad last week. And sometimes it's just so painful after teaching all day and talking. Just the idea of having to sit down and record. It just was a bit too overwhelming, shall we just say, for the moment.
Yeah, sometimes life just gets in the way. My house is upside down because I'm having a massive garden overhaul happening. So my time's been a bit weird as well this past few weeks. So, just one of those things, isn't it? Life sometimes happens.
And I'm working a 7-day week because I'm taking the kids at school on a residential this weekend. So I'm trying my best to get packed and actually manage my work-life balance so that I do actually, occasionally get the Hoover out.
Nah, Dust will still be there next week, love. Don't worry about it.
It comes back, I know, but with 3 cats, it does need doing every day.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yes.
We are going to crack on with some Disney goodness, and we are going to put our woes and our worries behind us because Disney is nothing but magical. It brings out the very best in our emotions, our loves and our feels. And I know I've been sharing a little bit of Disney magic from Jane's trip and a little bit from past trips of mine on that Instagram. Please, please, please check us out. Give us a comment, give us a bit of a heart, because the more you guys interact with us on Instagram, the more people get to see it. It's got one of those weird algorithms running. So make sure you're following at Dis Dream Girls.
Yay.
Last week's show was a bit of a random one, really. It was a recording from my cruise where I was speaking to the cruise director on the cruise. As I said, I wasn't up to recording, but I thought, well, I'll put something out. So I hope you enjoyed finding out a little bit more of the amazing Deval Gamble, who was the cruise director on the Discovery Princess. And I enjoyed chatting with him. He was a fascinating young man.
Yeah, an amazing name as well.
Oh, and he does this amazing way of saying G-O-double-D, good morning. And it's just a really fun little thing that he does. And every time he does it, it makes me smile. And he was on the morning show that went through every day of the cruise. And yeah, it's just those little things that bring a smile to your face and bring fond memories back of our wonderful trip. Anyway.
Yeah.
On this day in Disney history to have a little look through, Jane.
Yeah, just a couple of pieces actually, and they're both birthdays that we're going to talk about. Going back to the early 1900s. Ooh. So our first birthday is in 1907. This is the birthday of animator and teacher Art Babbitt. Now, he was born in Nebraska, but he joined Disney in 1932, and he worked on loads of different animations. He animated the Wicked Queen in Snow White. He also did Geppetto in Pinocchio and the Stork in Dumbo. But he's best remembered for getting Goofy to stardom because he is the one that gave Goofy that unique sort of clumsy sort of walk, that gangly sort of style that Goofy has. Art Babbitt was responsible for the Goofy that we know and love today. And he became a Disney legend in 2007. So that's one Disney legend. Then we've got another Disney legend 3 years later in 1910. And this chap is called Winston Hibler. I must admit, I had not heard of this guy. He was born in Pennsylvania. He was a producer, writer, director, and narrator, apparently. He joined Disney in 1942 as a camera operator and worked on those. No, they did those World War II governmental films, and he was part of the team behind those. But he also did some narration after that. He did a lot of the narration on some of the live action documentaries that they were producing. He then got into producing the Disneyland TV series and then helped out with animated features like Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella and others. But his best known written work is that he wrote Walt Disney's Disneyland opening day speech.
Oh.
And he made the Disney Legend in 1992. So a couple of proper legends there, I think, this week.
That's really good, Jane. Thank you for that. It's always nice to celebrate people's birthdays. Makes you all feel warm and fuzzy-wuzzy inside.
I think it's nice looking back at the history as well of Disney and appreciating the ground from which the company that we kind of follow and adore them today, where it actually all started from. So yeah, it's always fascinating because I always find out something new.
I was watching a fantastic programme at the weekend with regards to Epcot and its evolution, and it was fascinating. 90 minutes on that there YouTubes, and it was fantastic, but one little bit pulled at my little heart as I was watching another one of these shows. Jim Carcass popped up.
Oh, remember yes, I saw you put that up on the old socials.
Yeah. Bless.
Sad.
It is.
Sad. But his legacy lives on.
It absolutely does, because there are so many things that people know and understand more about Walt Disney that never had the pleasure of being alive in his time zone, really.
Yeah. And he's done so much to preserve all that history for us.
Completely agree. Anyway, my lovely, we are going to be going back in time to when you were on the Disney Dream. And we're going to talk a little bit about your food experience. Now, we've touched on it a little bit, but we thought it'd be really nice for us to sort of talk about, firstly, is when you get your Key to the World card, when you check in at their portside, you are given a dining rotation. Pray tell, what was your rotation, Janie?
Our rotation, well, we had the three main restaurants. So we started off in the Royal Palace. We then had Animator's Palette and then Enchanted Garden. And then they rotated through again. So bear in mind, we were there, we had 7 nights. So as it turned out, we did everywhere twice, with the exception of Royal Palace, which we did for 3 times. And obviously the thing with Disney and their rotation, which I know we will have mentioned on shows, is their uniqueness in that your team that's looking after you, your head servers and your waiters, follow you around. So no matter which restaurant you're in, you have the same serving staff each night, which was lovely because we got to know them, they got to know us. You know, I think we've mentioned before about, you know, drinks being prepared for you on the second night. They knew what we were drinking from the first, put them along ready for us. But I know that if we didn't want that evening, it wasn't a problem. They just scooted off and fetched something different for us. And they really added to the whole dining experience by having those familiar faces. And I remember even seeing one of our servers, Banners, one morning, and he recognised us, he called us by name and took the time out to chat with us. Didn't have to, but he did. And I think it's that level of service that you get with Disney that kind of is the icing on the cake. So when we came back and we were like, oh my goodness, what an amazing experience we've had, I think a lot of that goes down to that level of service and that level of attention to detail that they put into everything that they do. And the dining and the rotation and the staffing was just one aspect of that they provided you with.
So let's talk about the first experience you had in one of your dining rotations. What did you think to the theming?
Okay.
And then what did you think to the food?
Well, I must admit, I wish I'd had more. This is probably why I need to go back as well. I wish I'd had more time and more forethought to go round and look at the whole of each of the restaurants. Um, I think I was so in the moment, which is what I should have been. I was so in the moment of being there on this beautiful ship and experience everything for the first time that I must admit my social media little radar kind of went a bit skew-iffy. And I forgot to do things like take photos. I know it's daft and I know I should have taken photos, but I think it's just testament to the fact that I was so caught up in everything that I was doing that that sort of thing kind of took a back seat. Which I suppose is really good because it meant that I was invested in what was happening and I was taking it all in. And it also gives me that really good excuse that I need to go again.
True.
You see, so it's like, method in madness and all that. But yeah, so our first was Royal Palace, which was beautifully themed. It was quintessentially royal, lots of paintings on the wall, of various princesses and one thing another. And it was just very relaxed, very calm, very regal. We had Cinderella's, like a big chandelier type thing in the middle that had got Cinderella's glass slippers all around. And I got told how many gazillions of Swarovski crystals were in this chandelier. And it was a big number. It was bigger than I can afford to buy. So it was a really big number of crystals. And it was just beautiful. The new experience for Simon and I with was the fact that obviously we got put on a dining table with people we'd never met before, which I must admit, going in, I was a little bit hesitant about. I thought, well, because I suppose depending on who you got on your table could either make or break your dining experience. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, we got on lovely with the two couples that were on our table. Ironically, one couple was a British couple, and they actually live about 6 or 7 miles from where we are in Derby. And it turns out, as we were talking a few nights later, that they met in the same nightclub that Simon and I had met in, only 12 years apart.
Wow.
How weird is that? What's the odds of that? And then we had another couple with us from Portland in the US who were an absolute hoot. They were fantastic. So much so that we actually hooked up with them, going on to late night entertainment with them later on. So yeah, we had a really great time as far as the guests were concerned. And I think what Simon was blown away with was the quality of the food. Now, I have to say that I know lots of people out there are very much foodie people and do high-end dining all the time. Simon and I don't. Our idea of high-end dining is finding a good burger place. That's kind of where we sit. So we were blown away by the quality of the food and the choices that we actually had. So much so that we both felt quite confident in trying different things that we wouldn't have ordinarily tried, because I think we trusted in the Disney experience and the Disney quality of the food. And I think as the holiday, the vacation went on, we became more relaxed in what we were willing to have a go at trying, and not being afraid to ask for double starters if we wanted a couple of different things for starters. And also because, as you know, Michelle, both Simon and I tend to be quite strict on our eating. We're very much keto kind of eaters, carnivore kind of eaters. But I think because we knew that the ingredients that we're getting were so well prepared, we did let our little keto guard down a bit, and we did indulge. And I'm really glad that we did actually go for that indulgence, so that we could experience the full gamut of all those different things that were on offer to us. Simon was very brave on the first night and tried escargot.
Did they go down well?
He loved them.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely loved them. I didn't try them. I was like, no, I'm okay, thank you. And I thought, oh, well, I'll see how he goes. And I thought then I might actually try them, later on, sort of thing. I didn't go back to them. And I think what I was surprised about was the fact that each time we went into a restaurant, the menu was completely different. I'd expected things to change. I hadn't expected those menus to be different every single night. And I think in my head, I thought, oh, that's okay. I'll probably get a chance to try escargot another night. Well, I didn't because they weren't there again, you know. So it's that thing of, I was quite blown away by the fact that it would have been so much easier to have rotated or repeated menus, but they didn't. They were completely new every evening that we went down for our meal. So that was lovely as well, because it gave us a chance to try all sorts of different foods and different experiences. And I have to say that I don't think we ate anywhere over the 7 nights and thought, oh, that wasn't up to par. Everything we had was cooked beautifully. It was presented beautifully. The tastes were amazing. We were just blown away by everything that came across our plates. So, you know, we haven't really got a bad word to say about Disney Dining. I know that I think other people may turn around and say, oh, well, you know, you need to try Royal Caribbean or Princess or whoever, because their food is as good, if not better. But for us, this has been our very first experience. We were, very pleasantly surprised and really enjoyed our dining experiences.
So you've mentioned about that restaurant. Tell me a little bit about one of the other ones. What about Animator's Palette? Because for me, that is a highlight signature experience.
Yeah, and what was really cool was we had 2 different experiences. So we were in there 2 different evenings. The first evening we were in there, it was all crush based. So like you get a turtle talk in Epcot. So we had crush talking to us and interacting with each of the tables, which was really fun. I love the fact that when we went into the different restaurants, our servers all had uniforms on that matched the restaurants that we were going into. Again, I would have loved to have spent more time just physically walking around Animator's Palette and just seeing all the nods to different animation around the room. We loved the way that as you walked into Animator's Palette, on the corridor where you came in, if you look, the theming changed, but it was so subtly done, and it kind of went from just being a regal sort of corridor, then it changed into the film reel, effectively, that animators would use the drawing tablet. So it's really cool how they managed to do that. So we had fun with Crush that evening, which did involve our table having to stand up and make noises like whales. As you do. And you think, well, I'm here in Disney. Every other table's got up and done something stupid. So hands up, it's my turn. I better get on and get that done. So we did do that. But it was fun. It was just, you know, we were all laughing at each other. It was just a nice daft thing to be doing. And then the second time we went into Animator's Palette was the time that we got to do some drawing.
Yay!
So obviously we knew about this a little bit ahead of time, because you, for one, had primed us, and you'd also primed us to say to Simon, you might want to take some proper drawing pencils with you, because you only get given big chunky Sharpie type markers, and knowing how Simon is with his drawing. So, but anyway, so we got our piece of paper, which, for those that don't know, it's kind of split into boxes, and you fill the boxes out, and that develops your character. And then the really cool thing is that those get taken away from you, and you have your I think it was up to the main course. I think it was, we ate up to the main course, and then everything stops after the main course, and you then see all the screens come to life again, and your drawings are on those screens. And very clever how they work it so that the screens that you are near show yours and the tables that are close to you, their drawings, and it's obviously around the whole room, so you get to see quite a lot of your drawing on screen for a lot of the time. And they animate it and they make it move in time to the music, and that was amazing. And then they put your drawings inside Disney animations, which is like, oh I'm on my little sketchy thing, my little box and coloured bits that I did is on the big screen with Mickey and whatever. And then at the end, you're in the credits. Your name goes up at the end. At which point, one of our table actually started crying, bless him.
Oh,
And it was so sweet because actually he came across not the sort of guy I was going to expect that to happen from, and it properly caught him, I think, on off guard. And yeah, he was really like choked up by it all. And then the really cool thing was that Simon, in his drawings, had decided to draw me. Now, on that evening, because we were going into Animator's Palette, I was being a little bit clever with my outfit, and I'd got a little bit of Disney bounding going on, and I was Disney bounding. I've got like a Minnie Mouse dress, so a navy top, red and white spotted skirt. So that's how Simon drew me into the boxes. So when I looked at the screen, it was me that was animating. There was the tables around us were going, "Oh my goodness, that's such a good drawing! That's you on the screen," which was really kind of sweet. Our servers were blown away by Simon's drawing, so much so that we had to pose for photos with our servers because they wanted to be able to send photos of what he'd done back to their families and one thing and another.
oh, wow.
So it was like really kind of very sweet. So as a little addendum to that, because they were so blown away by what Simon had done, and we'd managed to get photos of the guys with our drawings that we'd done. So Simon was then actually able to do a couple of little drawings, which we presented them with on our last night in the dining rooms. So he'd done a couple of little caricatures of the two guys that were our servers, which they were blown away by. And, because we know that they've, the servers out there, you need to tip them and tip them well because they're relying so heavily on tips, unfortunately. But we also know that they've not got massive quarters, so they can't be, as much as we would like to give them gifts and things, they haven't got the storage, to be taken on loads and loads of gifts. So it was really nice that Simon could do them a drawing on a piece of A5 paper that nice and easy to take home and nice and easy to store somewhere for them. And so we kind of hopefully paid back a little bit of the Disney magic by being able to do that for them at the end of our 7 nights. So that was really, really sweet. But yeah, so Animator's Palette went down really, really well. We were also and I want to say it was our middle seating at Royal Palace, my memory serves me right. We actually got a Frozen specialized menu as well that evening. So because we were on a Northern European cruise, we didn't get to have Pirate Night because I think one of the main reasons is they can't do the fireworks in that area of the North Sea and around the Scandinavian countries. They're just not allowed to do fireworks. So we didn't have a pirate evening. But I think in lieu of that, we had a special menu on that middle night of the trip. And it was the menu itself was presented with all Frozen artwork, and then all of the different offerings all had names that were related to the Frozen movies, which was quite sweet. So, and kind of, I suppose, ingredients that you'd maybe associate more with the Scandinavian countries like the Gravlax and things like that. So that was a really quite a nice little added bonus on one evening when we weren't really, having known that we weren't getting Pirate Night, that was kind of a nice little substitute for us in the middle of the holiday.
Always is nice when they do those little extra touches that you weren't anticipating.
Yeah. And so we were kind of blown away. I mean, I should have been taking so this is a slap Jane's wrist moment, Michelle, because I should have been taking screenshots of all the menus, but I didn't. I should have been taking photos of all the food, but I didn't. And I can only say that it was all kudos to Disney and the experience that they put us in, that those thoughts of taking photos just didn't even enter my mind. I was so wrapped up in the dining experience that I was just sitting there and enjoying it for what it was and not thinking about anything else.
What am I going to do? Have I never taught you anything?
But you know what it means, though, Michelle?
You've got to go again.
I've got to go again. I need more Disney holidays to get back into the swing of this social media malarkey. This is what I need, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely agreed. 100%. Was there anything that you particularly enjoyed, one of the meals or anything?
You know what? It's so hard to kind of pick anything out I won't say stood out because everything for us was so good. There was a lovely Sacatorte pudding that was pudding. Tell I'm British, can't you? Dessert. Having gone on the other desserts on previous evenings, we know we were used. It's fine dining. You don't get a big portion. You get a conservative sized portion, don't you? But the flavours are brilliant, so you don't mind. The Sacatorte we got was absolutely ginormous. It was beautiful. It was lovely and dark chocolate. It was melt in your mouth, and it's one of those desserts that, although initially I thought I'm not even going to eat all that, as you were getting towards the end, you were going, I don't want this to end. It's too nice. It needs to continue. And that evening, Simon, who you know is not necessarily the most sweet-toothed person, had ordered the same as well. And I'm looking at him thinking, please don't finish. Please don't finish. So I can have yours. But he finished it, which I thought was rather rude of him, because I could have done with seconds. But I wasn't going to ask for seconds because I'd already ordered my espresso martini at that point. So, yeah. You can see how Jane's way of eating and diet went completely out the window. Completely out the window. But we had some lovely meals. There was a lovely charcuterie board I had one evening. I had the amazing French onion soup. There was venison. That I think it was probably the first time I tried venison, which was just beautiful. Various salmon dishes along the way. There was a lovely almond and raspberry cake that I had one evening. Yeah, there was just too many to mention, and it would be unfair to all of them to pick anything out that was better than others.
I think that's the beauty of the cruise, that you have so many different options that you can try, and then it starts becoming a little bit of a challenge because you could try and have a main, but you might want it with a different side, so you can order it and they will meet your demands. And if you don't really fancy the starter, well, you could have two mains, or you could just have two mains or three mains or whatever, I even had all the desserts a few times, or a dessert with a side sundae, or I just love the fact that the wait staff make the experience fit to your needs, and I'm so glad that you're able to experience and try so many wonderful, amazing foods and enjoy the fantastic environment within the restaurants that Disney created for you.
Yeah, and I think this is probably, although, I'd spoken to you, obviously, Michelle, numerous times, whether it be in person or via the podcast, and I'd done my research because I'm a Disney person and one does due diligence and does the research. But I think it's one of those things that until you're actually immersed in it, you don't fully appreciate just the level of detail that they go to with the theming in the restaurants, the fact that they, you've got an interactive restaurant in there, the fact that the staff are what they are. It just, I think people can say to you, oh yeah, well, the staff are amazing and the food's fantastic, but until you actually experience it, you don't fully appreciate just how good all that actually is.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is a wonderful, wonderful experience on the cruise lines. And to be honest, having done Disney, done Royal Caribbean, and also Princess Cruise Line, they all to their own element do that, so that people can have the experience dining wise that fits their needs. But listeners, tell us a little bit about your cruise experiences. We'd love to hear what your thoughts have been on the food, the environments. Do you have a favourite restaurant? Perhaps we can even dip into a favourite drinking establishment on the cruise ships as well, Jane.
Maybe, yeah, because that's why I need to go back, because I didn't do enough drinking establishments.
That's why you need another tip.
You see, this is it. It's like there's that element of coming away from the cruise and going, that was absolutely amazing. We loved every minute of it. And then you start thinking, oh, I never got to go in there. Oh, I didn't actually get to do that. I only went in there for a little presentation. I wonder if we could, and then you realise, just how much there is to do on these ships. And the fact that, I think back to we had 2 days at sea, and I was worried that our days at sea would be what am I going to do sort of things. And I struggle now to think back, what did we actually do? Because those days were full, and I've left myself still things that to go back and do again.
Yeah, completely agree. Right, guys, I think we're going to put a bow on that there now, and we will leave it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Don't forget, you can get bonus content over there on our Patreon page, patreon.com/Disney Dream Girls. Find us on Instagram @DisDreamGirls. And if you would like to review your iTunes review or even leave us a new one, it'd make us incredibly happy if you would do so, my loves. Anyway, until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.